Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening.
Hello, everyone.
We are today broadcasting from Prague and Munich.
In Munich, that's right.
Is doing business today, some other day in Munich. So Munich is very close to my heart. It was like second home to me for many years. I was living there, so it's a great city. Yeah, if you can, we are, broadcasting today on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you can ping us in comment section that you can hear us and see us. We see,
I was going to say, we've already got our international crowd because Finland is in the house with us tonight.
Finland is definitely there. The Finnish guy, So if you can also ping us, I will, check LinkedIn on my phone.
Yes.
And somebody, if you are from the dialing from the Facebook, that would be also good if you can.
We've got our LinkedIn friends here, and I have to apologize in advance. I have been having crazy allergies. So you might hear me like coughing, sneezing, rubbing my eyes like a little baby. No amount of allergy medication has managed to help. So if anyone has any advice before we get started, I am all ears.
Yeah, Marek is already sending. Yeah. So there are people on LinkedIn. So yeah, I think we can start. We have a great team today.
We do.
Why don't you kick it off?
This is the thing. Jana and I talked about this theme because it is the most requested theme that people ask us about. They're like, oh, the world is stressful. We have a lot of anxiety. Work is getting harder, not easier. It's getting more uncertain, COVID and wars. And you know the drill. So the question is like, how do I be less stressed? And the very first thing that I say to people is that your goal? Have you ever rethought that goal? Do you want to be less stressed? Because what if instead of saying, I want less stress, we just want to take the stress that we're going to get and we're going to put it towards making it a positive driving force for us. And there's something very important to remember here. Before we talk about anything else, I want to make a differentiation between pressure and stress. Yes, you have a lot of pressure in your job. People are watching. The stock is going to go up or down. Actually, Jan and I were trading stock tips earlier, and we were saying buy Microsoft, right?
I know.
And so people are watching, right? You know you have pressure. As you get higher up, mistakes can happen, but it doesn't have to become stress. What is stress? Stress is how you understand the pressure emotionally. And there's actually a nice stress curve, just like you've seen any bell curve. Too little stress, and you're going to be sitting there going, I don't want to do anything. You're going to be the person playing video games at home, sleeping on your parents' couch when you're 45. You have no motivation to do anything if you had no stress. So for people who tell me I don't want to have stress, I'm like, yeah, you do. You wouldn't do anything with your life if you didn't have stress. You need to optimally have stress because, as many of you know, when you say, oh, I'm so stressed out, what you really mean is you've passed the top where the stress is good and it's driving you forward and it's getting you where you need to go. You've passed that and now you're in the like freaking out zone. And so the big question that we're really going to get to today is, how do we hone, measure, get our stress to be up at that peak without going over, but also not getting so burnt out where, you get so high and then it gets too high and then you crash and then you have no motivation. Or for those of you who go to work, go hard, and then you have to spend every weekend and every evening just recovering. That's not life either, right? So we want to find that optimal level of stress. And Jan and I have some pretty good tips for you here today. Jan, why don't you kick it off? Where's your thinking at on this topic?
I was just checking if everything is good also on Facebook. So Facebook is also apparent. Great. So let's first start couple of points about history of the stress, because this is quite interesting. Let's go back like 10, 20,000 years ago, when the stress was mainly coming from surroundings, from the environment, okay? Because, and our predecessors, they were pretty much like having a stress, and then there was a rest, they were like, hunting, having a rest, hunting, having a rest. That's why the stress was strengthening them, because stress was not chronic, as in many cases today, but was acute. But then they've got, recovery, right? And from that is coming, whatever is not killing you, it's strengthening you. And it's absolutely true. Whether it's like physical stress, if you go to the fitness, or the mental stress. So there was not, there was not that much, I would say, mental noise, okay, in the past. Today, majority of the stress is generated through your mind, because there are no tigers or wolves or whatever, the animals or another people killing you. It can be, but it's very rarely, okay, such situation, okay. In majority of the cases, stress is coming from your mind, okay. The way our brain is structured, our, emotional part of the brain, which is called amygdala. Sometimes I call it, monkey, because it's jumping from one topic to the other. That part of the brain, the only, the only task, or the only, target is basically survival. Okay, nothing else. That's why amygdala is not able to distinguish between reality and what is the fact and what is not fact. That's another part of your brain, called neocortex. It's the logical part of the brain, and it behaves like professor. That part of the brain wants you to succeed, to be happy, whatever, right? The issue is, and it's called, negative bias, that your amygdala, your monkey, is 10 times faster than your professor, which means that if you, if there is some, input, okay, some stimuli, and you react immediately, usually your monkey is reacting, especially if there is a tension in that situation, okay? The other point is, the situation in your life makes, no sense or has, no sense before, you will put some, sticker on it, okay, on that situation. That's why you can train your, brain. In the past, our predecessors were not stupid people. They were quite, smart people. It was called, for example, old Greece, kalokagatia. How your mind is connected with your emotions, your mental energy, with your emotional energy, with the physical energy. And they talk about the spirit, whether you have a, meaning in your life. If you are like, if you have a spirit, if you are inspired, chances are that, you are mentally fine. You are very often in the flow. Then that means you have a lot of, positive emotions, and positive emotions means endorphin and all of those good hormones, and you are fit physically, okay? So it was connected. Now, a lot of people think that, you live in your mind all the time. Listen, right? Eckhart Tolle is saying that a lot of people are saying, I have my body, I have my hands, whatever, I am my body, I am my body. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. If you say, I am my body, then you can like feel your body. And I remember after, my depression, I've got some, physical trainer and the physio therapist, and they try to help me to really feel my body again, because I was living my, life in my brain only. Okay. Now, what it has to do, like your body with your mind. If you are able to feel your body again, you will be much more like cool down, because your body is always here and now in the present moment. Monkey is more or less your ego, and ego means our fears. Your fears are in the past or in the future, and sometimes it's connected. Monkey is never, your fears are never here and now. Let's try following. Let's breathe in deeply and breathe out. And tell me if you got, some fears. No way, you are here and now, because your breathing is always here and now. Okay, so this is it. That's why we have a lot of, technology on one side, but we did very little or no progress in the way how we work with our, mind and with stress and stuff like that. That's the point. Even what research now shows, that's quite interesting, that dreams for our predecessors was the way how to basically face whatever happened during the day. In your, dreams, you were solving those issues and you were cooling your mind, down. That's a lot of people, in that, sphere, they think dreams are because of that, because that's what the Mother Nature, did, right? So the one point which needs to be said, in the past, people were able, because of the nature, were like hunting. There was a stress in hunting. There was a danger. And then they've got to rest, stuff like that. Now, we are like hunting, and the stress is unfortunately not acute. We don't have enough mental rest, but the stress is chronic, and we think that we can go forever. We feel like, hey, our body needs to have a rest, but our mind, we can do whatever we want. Interestingly enough, I've got this morning very interesting call. There is a new, for the first time, ATP, which is the Association of the Professional Tennis Players. They hired sports psychologist Ruth Anderson. She's a very nice person. Yet, together, and we had a call about different issues, right? How we can help, because I have a player, he's like top 40, Jiří Lehecka. He won yesterday in the first round in the French Open. Very, very tough, match, though. But anyway, so we talked a lot, and I told her, I said, you know what? The issue is when I see those players at the tournaments, everybody is playing like with the mobile phones. And your attention is killed by those devices. It's fine to use it, right? But our brain is not, ready to use it like for 10 hours. Okay. Very rarely you would see people like, use it for some time, and then you go like, you see for long distance stuff and stuff like that. Andrew Huberman is saying that in the very near future, almost half of the population will be short-sighted because of those devices, right? Because majority of if you are, say, 16 hours, you are awakened, say, okay, and 10 hours you are looking, short distance. Right?
Don't even tell me this stuff.
Pretty much average, right? Guess what?
Yes. And here's the thing. This is what people don't get. I think you highlighted it so nicely. And I want everybody who's listening, whatever you're doing, if you're jogging on the treadmill, if you're washing dishes, zone in on this thing, which is to say, we all think, I just have to think this one thing or do this one thing with my brain, and then I won't have stress. And the answer is actually less about overpowering it with mental strength and more with hacking your body. Knowing that the brain works in a very particular way, knowing that the body works in a very particular way, and hacking the system. Guys, it's been around for, tens, hundreds of thousands of years. It's not like all of a sudden you've solved everything because you know how to think about something. And one of the things that Jan said is so important. We know this, but we don't want to believe it. We need less input. What's the thing that our phone does? It gives us input all the time. When you go to the bathroom, what do? Do you take that minute to breathe and relax and just come down? No, everybody takes their phone in the bathroom. There's literally not 1 second where you can just be. And that means all new inputs all the time, all the senses, everything is louder. You see things more often. I'm walking, I flew today, so I went through the airport. It's like there's an advertisement there. There's a backing up, truck there. There's a kid screaming there. Everything's just loud. It's actually a luxury to have quiet. That's why people pay money to go into the business lounge, because there you can have your peace and your quiet again. You need to think of your life as in, how do I have enough input breaks to mentally rest and recover? As Jan said, you don't have to do anything special. If you don't want to meditate for 20 minutes a day, we can talk about that at a different, but start with the basics. When you brush your teeth, just brush your teeth. When you go to the bathroom, just go to the bathroom.
Lisa, I need to do now technical break because there's somebody asking something in Czech because that person does not understand English. So I will answer in Czech.
Okay.
It's about, whether we can translate it. Dobrý den, zkuste se přihlásit na můj kanál na YouTube a pokud to nepůjde teďka z toho přímého přenosu, tak jde určitě si udělat titulky na tom YouTube ze záznamu. Tam jsou všechny ty live, tam jsou český, i anglicky, dá se to udělat, ty titulky, ale tady prostě já to z tohoto zařízení udělat nemůžu. Thanks very much, Lisa, for, you know,
I love it. I love hearing the language.
Then, my German is much worse. I mean, my English is probably better than Czech. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so let's now talk about, you know, some tools, okay? Yes. You guys need to realize that your brain, a lot of people think my brain, I still think, I have a lot of, you know, thoughts. It's true. But your brain mainly, because the brain is very effective and efficient, you know, device. And brain is basically predicting and correcting, learning, right? So that's what the brain is doing. That's why we need to be, whatever we do, and if we want to be successful, we need to be concentrated. Okay. Today, I've got, you know, the head coach for the Czech, you know, shooting team. They've got like last Olympic Games, you know, silver medal and gold medal. Okay. And he told me, Jan, what you are talking about, this concentration is absolutely true. If that guy is like shooting, is not concentrated, he's sending, you know, too late or too early signals from the brain to the body, and, you know, doing something, and then he's not hitting target at all. And it's the same with tennis, whatever, right? Yes. And the issue is, if you are, you know, Lisa talk about this, you know, I will, you know, put it down, how, you know, right. your you know, performance works relative to your, you know, nervosity. It's like that, guys. Okay. If you put here your adrenaline, it's the hormone, you know, for the stress, and here your performance, you need to have some optimal level of the stress, basically, right? And the optimal level of the stress, if you go, for example, to present, or you will run some, you know, some race, okay, it needs to be like, hey, I'm, you know, nervous, but I'm looking forward to start to do that activity. This is it. The problem is when you go over, your nervosity is here. Look what it does to your, you know, to your performance. This is it. So this is a good, because, you know, if you want to be in the flow, that's where you perform at your best. You know, where endorphin is released and later on dopamine, whatever. In order to do it, you need to have some starting level of adrenaline. I mean, even if you go in the morning, if you're getting up, it's about adrenaline and cortisol. You need to be like, there is a little bit, you know, tension, right? It takes, you know, energy, right, to get up. If you are depressed, the thing is, you know, you are depressed, but you don't have enough energy even sometimes to get up, you know, in the morning. And that's why people are not doing that, right? So this is it. So you need to be aware that it's good to have this, you know, like basic nervosity, but it's like, hey, I'm, you know, looking forward. I want to, you know, do it. So you have a you know, good energy for that, right? And if you wanted to keep stay here, you know, right, that's when you're, you know, you are a little bit nervous, but your amygdala is not active still, you know, right here. Your amygdala is already active. Oh, and your amygdala here there are like no stories, I will not make it, whatever. No. Here you are, you know, up and running. Here, suddenly, there are like stories, okay? That's like my tennis player saying, oh, there is a wind. Or, you know, the clay is not that, there's not that good quality of the clay. There is a rain, whatever. And if you start to create those, you know, external stories or whatever, then your performance is dropping down significantly, right? Okay. So now the issue is, and it is happening everywhere and to everybody. The issue is, how you can get from here when your amygdala is trying, it's called in psychology emotional hijack, okay? If you are emotionally hijacked, then you are basically done. Sometimes, Lisa knows it, there is a term called choking, which is basically choking means like, for some reason, simply, you are not playing well, or you are absolutely like, you cannot remember your presentation, whatever. That's the choking. In Czech, vybouchnutí, výbuch, totální, like it's explosion, you know, right? You can't remember anything and so on, right? So the issue is how you can get, you know, back to your, you know, peak performance, right? And the thing is that the issue is something is, for example, let's take tennis, okay? You play well, everything goes well, and then suddenly you play a couple of balls which, you know, your opponent is winning, and you are suddenly saying, hey, my opponent is catching up, it's not going very well, what should I do, and so on, right? And your, you know, mind, amygdala will start to create stories. Hey, now, everything will change, whatever. So you need to get back to that, point,
Yes.
right? And the issue is that our brain, as I said, amygdala is usually in the past or in the future, okay? And when you start to judge yourself during that activity, it's usually the end. That even Buddhists were saying, don't judge yourself, right? Like judgment it's good to judge your performance after the performance, but not during the performance. Because the issue is, if you are not able to accept what happened in the past, your mind is still in the past. It's clear. The only way it's acceptance. Okay. So it is acceptance, like, hey, okay, it happened. I need to go, back. And now imagine triangle. Your, mind, your body, and your breath. Okay. Your, body and your breath are always here and now in the present moment. Otherwise, we would not survive. Okay. Your mind is wandering a lot. So the thing is how you can, attach your mind to your body, right? And if you will start to feel more and more what's going on in your body, you will get, more and more cool down, and you will be able to get, back. I mean, it's not only like my view, but I studied last 2 weeks, all interviews and everything from Djokovic, okay? And he's one of the best players, if not the best one. And he's basically saying, I still have some balls. I'm not playing very well. I still have some fears, some bad internal dialogue, but it's only like 1 or 2 balls. And then I'm able to return, back. Okay.
Yes.
And the way he's doing it is basically mindfulness. He's aware of the, bullshit his monkey is trying to create. Okay. So what you can do in such situation, you can ask 3 easy questions. What is the trigger? What is the trigger of the situation? What kind of the thought was, triggering the situation? And then you can ask, following question. Is it logical what I think? Do I have any proof? If you are like winning 6-4 and 3-0, and then suddenly your opponent is doing like 2 balls playing well, 2 balls, and now everything will change. Is that proof? You are like very close to win. It's not proof. And last but not least, is it advantageous what I'm thinking? Is it advantageous for me or not? And if the answer is no, then it's some, bullshit bingo from your monkey. And the problem is that we really, it's a lot of, monkey business, what we think about, right? There are like a lot of people are telling me, hey, if I'm sending somebody email or SMS and that person is not, answering, usually that person is usually answering me in 3 hours, and suddenly he or she is not, and maybe that person is sick or on the vacation, whatever, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. You don't know. There is no, about your monkey will create that story, and then you are, done. So the thing is, make sure it is absolutely fine that your, monkey is there because it's helping us, but make sure your monkey is under the control. And how to make your monkey under the control is basically strengthening your professor, your logical part of the brain, still asking those questions. Is it, reality? Is it true? Right?
Yes. I've found, I have to tell you, there are many ways that you can get that, past your amygdala hijack. I love that. The thing that I tell myself is, and I'm American, so maybe this is very American, but I'm like, okay, do I want this to run my brain, my body, my life, the way I do things, or do I want to? Because the real me lives here in this prefrontal cortex, the rational part, the smart part, the motivated part is here. This is just fear. And the question that I really ask myself is, do I really want that running my life? Yeah. And obviously for me, the clear answer is no. And then I can cut myself off immediately and go, then don't. Right? What do I want? I'm not going to let this thing run my life. I'm not going to let it make me afraid. I'm not going to let it make me angry when other people are pissing me off. I'm not going to let it deter me when I want to get something done and people tell me no. No problem. Step forward. What do I want? Right? It's a bit of you have to think of yourself as being very powerful. Most of us, when we're feeling stressed, we're feeling overwhelmed, it's because you feel like things are happening to you. And if you ever sit in one of my training courses, the very first thing I say to people is, this is not a movie theater and this is not a popcorn presentation, meaning this is your life. You don't sit back, grab your bowl of popcorn, decide, do I like the Lisa show or not? You know, you're listening to Lisa and Jan right now and you're going, okay, no, this is your life. And so what do you want to get out of listening today, right? Or coming to the training, et cetera. And immediately I want people to stand up and stand in your power. When you feel your power, not an evil power, I destroy everyone, but when you feel your power, when you feel the stress, you do exactly what Jan said. You don't go over the peak and freak out. You come back to the top and go, yes, this is a challenge, and yes, I can do it. Or I will find out how to do it, right? So when you stand in your power, you have that peak level of stress.
The other tool, because the last, point I made about logical questions, okay. The other tool against stress, or how to cope stress, better. Right, StreamYard has lost connection to Facebook, so I will try to destination.
And while you recover that, we have a really great comment at LinkedIn.
It should be okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on Facebook and you have a problem, the tool is saying there's a problem with Facebook, so you can go to YouTube or LinkedIn. YouTube, you don't need to be. We are having troubleshooting. Yeah, it is there. We are having troubleshooting streaming. This may an issue. There is some issue with the Facebook as such. Right, not with the
and maybe anyway, it'll pop back up, or we have the other channels. But we do have here this this note from LinkedIn from Jakob, who said, as a very thoughtful thank you to help my allergies, that his friend flushed nose with a broth of stinging nettle, and he used a neti pot. I am terrified to do this, but I will certainly take it under consideration, Jakob, and maybe Google it and see what's what, because my biggest thing is that I'm itchy. You may see me like itching my head here and my arms, and so anything that can help, I'm open.
Always, this time is tough, absolutely. Yes. And so talking about the questions, I will, cover the topic of curiosity, because curiosity is a great tool how to, lower your stress or your fear. Because if, more connections you have in your brain, more synaptical connections, there are more, choices for you. Okay. And if you have like more choices, the chances are that you face those situations better, because stress is about 3 questions. Fight, should I fight? Should I, escape? Should I, flee? Or should I fight, flee,
flight, freeze, appease?
Don't do anything, right? So I was thinking like how we are saying that in Czech. Anyway, so, and if you are curious, you have, much more questions, right, to available. So curiosity is a great, way. So even if you are in the tough situation, you can always ask, what is interesting in this situation? What I can learn from it, okay? Because that's as I said, your brain, there is no meaning in situations unless your brain is putting some stickers on those situations, okay? And you can be like curious and say, hey, what can I learn from this tough situation? Or you can say, oh, this is bad, and you will be like, done, right? So that's why I think curiosity is a great tool, even though majority of us, if you are a child, you are very curious. If you are adult, there are very, very few adult people with curiosity, because, school is killing it. The school is teaching you how to answer questions, know how to ask questions. Okay. Questions are, by the way, great tool. All like, top guys in Microsoft, we were trained. I was trained twice how to ask right questions. It was like 1 week, training. I did it once with the executive team in Microsoft, and once with my direct report. So curiosity is another thing, right? Then it is about, the way you are able to overcome some obstacles, right? Whether you are like, whether your brain is really trained to solve problems, okay? And what I realized with my athletes, for example, it is the same with executives, but with athletes, if you are, since like, your childhood used to make your own decisions, okay, small decisions, right? But your own decisions, then your brain is really trained. Hey, I'm like decisive person. I'm on my own. I decide. You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
And then you are able to overcome, obstacles, right? I was like on my own since 12 years old. I mean, my parents, they took care of us, absolutely. But because I was playing tennis, I was very often out of my home, right? And I needed to travel to another, town, whatever, right? And then you are really, able to solve some issues, right? If everybody is telling you, like your physical trainer, your trainer, everybody's telling you you need to do that, then it's very hard. If things are going very well, that's fine. But if you are in some tough situation, you need to, take your own decisions. And I think it has to do also with the fact that there are only few people today who wants to be leaders. Everybody think that the leadership is about helicopter, you have, and if you are like CEO, you may have a private jet, and you fly, business class. Yeah, fine, you do. That's as I did. But there are, much more. Leadership is about leading people, about, followers, and it, solving tough issues around business, solving tough issues with the people and stuff like that. And I think the issue today is, to be like general comment, that young generation, the mental toughness is going down almost every year.
Yes. And that is because I think you said it quite rightly, by the way, for younger folks. I'm not saying that those of you listening aren't very young, but for the younger folks who have extreme anxiety, it's because we protected them too much. They never learned how to fail and get over it and work through it and find their resilience and learn that things are okay. Instead, we said, oh, don't, that's something bad's going to happen if you try that. Don't do that. And we put a fear in them without showing them it's okay. You can handle it if something goes bad. And that's why some of the younger generation, Gen Z, they have severe anxiety issues. And we can't say it's just the cell phones or just, it really is about having the trust. And this is the number one thing I would say when people ask me, like, Lisa, why are you so confident? It's not because I think, oh my God, I'm so amazing, right? It's because I think I trust that no matter what happens in my life, I'll get past it. My number one saying, I tell it to my daughters, as long as I'm still alive, everything else is figure outable. If I'm dead, I'm dead. Can't solve that one. Everything else, if I lost my job, if I lost my house, if, something, whatever it is, you figure it out. It might not be what you wanted. It might not be the best path ever, but as long as you trust, I'm smart, I'm capable, I have resources, I have friends, I know people, I can think my way through it, then the fear of how's this going to work? Am I going to get a client? All the stuff that you over worry about, you let it go because I have trust. If I'm late to a meeting, it'll be okay. I actually practice with people when I teach executive presence. I say, walk up on the stage and trip. What? Walk up on the stage and trip, see how it feels, know how it is, see what you want to say after you've tripped, and then trust. If you trip when you're on stage, you know how to handle it.
Absolutely.
Once you have no embarrassment, once you have no fears, yes, something bad can happen, sure, but I can handle it. That trust is what will get you here. Just like Jan said, that curiosity. Anything that can get you out of thinking about yourself, your ego. What about me? So one of the things I tell myself when I'm getting stuck in this, fear, fight, flight, freeze, appease, I just say, Lisa, get over yourself. This is not about you, right? So if someone makes me very angry and I really want to respond or I want to defend myself, it's like, get over this. This isn't about you. This is about them. And then I go for curiosity. Hey, what's going on for them over there that they're really angry right now, or they're losing it right now, or they're whatever, right? And people in Switzerland yell at me a lot. So I really have to practice a lot of empathy. And that's what you have to do. You have to get over yourself and just go there. I'm curious. I have a question that I write on a Post-it note that I keep at my computer so that when I'm having one of these hijacks, which no matter how trained you are, even if you're a Buddhist, you still have a human brain that works. I say, what's the opportunity here? Just like Jan was saying, what can I get from this? What can I learn from this? What's the opportunity here? this is a hard situation and we can do hard things. I love having little mantras, little mottos. When you have your hijack, that's not the time to all of a sudden become philosophical. You need short, fast things that are going to break you out of this downward spiral into your, amygdala hijack here. So you need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 phrases. And for each person, it's different. But I tell myself, it's not that serious, Lisa. Let it go. When I worked at Sony and we'd be sitting in meetings, this is dead serious. We're talking about strategy. It's like, hey, guys, we're not curing cancer. We're selling car stereos. It's not that serious. Let's cool it down a notch, yeah? Once you have the motto, whenever this starts to take over, you have something that immediately takes away the spiral. I want you to keep in mind this spiral because that's the amygdala. But when it goes from something's heightened and your body's going good, bad, do I like it? Do I not like it, right? This is that threat detection. Am I nervous or am I excited? Is this a problem or is this a challenge? You're trying to figure out which way to go. Do not let the spiral go negative because the minute it's high and it starts to go negative, just like Jan was saying, you're playing tennis and all of a sudden you lost a ball. Oh, and remember that last time when I was playing and I lost to this person because of this and I always lose and I always choke and all of a sudden you just go down this spiral of shame. You have to cut the spiral. I just lost that ball, period. Not, and what does it mean from before? Exactly as Jan says, don't go to the past, don't go to the future. Cut the spiral immediately.
Absolutely.
And what I want you all to think about, this is the image I keep in my head. When you're driving in your car, you get a flat tire. Someone tell me into the chat, into the comments here, if you get a flat tire, what would you do? And this is not a trick question. Don't overthink it. If you were driving and you got a flat tire, what would you do? And I imagine in the next 10 seconds, we're going to have some comments up here where people would go, Lisa, I think I would pull over and change the tire, right? Good. That's right. I want to know in the comments how many of you would have answered this. Well, if I get a flat tire, I pull over, I take out a knife, and I slash the other 3 tires on my car. So now I have 4 flat tires. No, you don't do that? Then don't do it emotionally. When you have 1 flat tire, fix it and drive away. Don't go slashing the other tires. So I want you to keep that in mind when you start to notice yourself going into this downward shame spiral. If you're anxious about being anxious, if you're stressed about being stressed, I shouldn't be this stressed. I have too much stress. This is, cut the spiral, breathe, and fix the tire.
Absolutely. I think that's a great. I will share it with my tennis player.
Yeah, good.
It's his issue sometimes. I think it is a great, example. Absolutely. I love it. And we touch one thing, that our brain doesn't like change. That's why sometimes it's not good. But in this case, there is something we talk about in psychology. It's called confirmation bias. If the things are going really well, your brain got a tendency to say, hey, it will continue like that. It will be, good. And you feel good and you go, right? If it's the other way around, it's like negative snowball and that's bad, right? So you need to really stop it, right? If it's negative, stop it immediately. And change, because I think it's a good, it is a good, analogy with the tires. You will not, basically all the tires. No way, right? So, and it has to do, this, approach has to do with the optimism versus pessimism. Okay. A lot of people are saying that, optimist people are crazy, that they are unrealistic and so on. Look, if I'm tennis player, I'm optimistic, I'm expecting to play well, doesn't mean that I will win. My opponent can be still better, but I expect I will, play well, I will feel good and so on. And if you have this optimistic approach, you have a tendency to put right stickers to the right situation. That's the point. Okay. You will not, I mean, if you are optimist and somebody is dying, you will still, or there's a danger to die, you will still, help, not say, hey, not say, hey, everything will, no. Right. But if you are like pessimistic and like upfront that it will, and you, in your mind, you are like, no, it will not go well because I was not training very well last, day, it was not going very well. Then this, negative confirmation will go, and because it's faster, your negative snowball is 10 times faster than your positive snowball. Okay.
Right.
This is different speed. Okay. That's why the spiral is, killing your progress, basically. Right. So that's this is it. And it is like majority of the optimists, they have this, growth mindset. They are still learning, even though they are like having some failures, they are still, learning from that. And they want to be the best version of themselves every day, like getting, better step by step, getting better, and so on. Carol Dweck, in the book Mindset, she talks about scam school when basically they don't have a fail, they, replace it and they call it instead, not yet. Not yet. It's very different sticker for your brain. Okay. I fail, with this guy. I'm always, failing. I'm always losing with this, whatever. Or you may say, well, I was not playing that bad. No, and not yet. He's not yet beaten by me. But, at some point, I'm sure, right? So those are very different, signals, very different stickers, and very different chemicals, very different, hormones in your, brain.
Yes. And I want to tell you, I had this perfect example with my young daughter who was not doing well in math because she told herself, I'm not good at math. And she told herself, boys are better at math than girls. This certainly didn't come from me, but she has these two voices. And whether you understand it or not, whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. The truth of the matter is that your brain will rise up to meet expectations. So for example, I can tell you in the research, if they go into a testing room and they say, hey, Asian Americans are always really good at tests. So then actually they'll study it and the Asian American students will do better because they go, yes, we are. And people rise up into expectations, but they also shrink down. I'm not good at math sets the expectation of I'm not good at math, right? So I sat with her the other day and I said, okay, well, let's talk about, what did you get on your test? Well, it turned out she didn't do well on her test because she didn't answer half the questions. She didn't get to the second half. She ran out of time. Okay, so tell me more. What ended up happening, she has nothing to do with not being good at math. She was so nervous, scared about doing it that she ended up doing, fight, flight, freeze, appease. She ended up doing flight. And she just stared out the window and noticed her pen and just kind of
try to escape from that situation.
Tried to escape, exactly. So she couldn't finish half her test. So I said, you know what? We don't actually have to work on your math right now. The very first thing we have to work on is breathe. Everything's going to be okay. It was mindset. And I wonder how many times in our lives when we think, oh, we're not good at something, and we make ourselves small, and then it makes it true, right? For her, if she didn't have a mom who studies this stuff, then people would say, oh, we need a math tutor and you need to work harder at math, would have put on more pressure, would have made it harder, would have made math feel more stressful, and would not have solved the root cause of it. People underestimate. Everybody thinks, but I'm so rational, I'm smart, I'm a business person, I work in the corporate, I'm very rational. We are emotional beings. You have to accept that you have to just work with your emotions and understand your emotions will make decisions faster than your rational brain. I love that you call this the monkey. What I call it is the bodyguard.
Yeah.
You got to get past the bodyguard here, the emotional bodyguard, fight or flight. Is there a threat or not? Is it safe or not? That bodyguard decides whether or not you get access to the smart parts of your brain. And if you don't, then guess what? The not smart parts are taking control. And again, it makes no sense. You will not be powerful. You will not be your best creative self. You will not do your best work. You will not be as resilient if you're coming from this amygdala spot. So you have to work with the emotions and you have to regulate them. I have a very, very practical thing that I want to share with people. Jan and I constantly talk about breathe, right? And I've come to find out over time, Jan, people don't know how to breathe. That sounds really weird because we breathe all the time. But did you know that if you want to relax your stress, there is a wrong place to breathe from, and it's in your lungs. Because when you're out of breath, when you're scared, it's here, it's short, and it's exactly. This is the sympathetic nervous system. This is the stress.
It's attention. It's attention. Absolutely.
Exactly. More threats, more attention, right? That's triggering more of this. But we just said we want to go here. Don't always use your mind. Your mind can get trapped. Use your body. So the best thing you can do is breathing out of your diaphragm. I'll stand up because you want to look about 6 months pregnant as you're breathing, right? And you want to do the deep breaths there. I always do it with my eyes closed because less sensory input means my brain gets to rest a little more. That, I think some of you know. What you may or may not know is just take a short breath, 10 seconds, every hour or so. Instead of your stress levels going here, 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 here throughout the day, it's here and you took a breath. And it's here and you took a breath. You're constantly resetting just a little bit. So by the end of the day, if you have enough little downs, it doesn't go so high up. And there's one more exercise that I've recently learned that I love. So for those of you who aren't watching the video, this might sound a little bit strange. But what I've learned is the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the part that's your slow down, rest, digest, restore, recover. You can't actually get to it, but there are different ways you can, like, behind the scenes get to it. The best one is that breath that we just said. But there's another way through the neck and through the eyes. So one thing you can do is you tilt your neck to the side and you take your hand just to pull it nicely over. So tilted to the left or to the right. And then you put your eyes diagonally up away from the elbow. So the side of your neck that's open and exposed, just opening and exposing helps your parasympathetic nervous system up. And you put your eyes diagonally up and you just hold them there for 30 seconds to a minute every day. If you've never done this, your eyes might get dizzy. You might feel like it hurts. The muscles in your eyes don't often get stretched. But if you do this for 30 seconds to a minute every day, over time, you get very relaxed. Your parasympathetic nervous system goes up. And here's how you know that it's working. And I'm just stretching to the other side now. You'll start to notice that it's working when you're swallowing, if you're yawning. Those are signs that your parasympathetic nervous system is activating. And you could even do this in bed. You don't have to be sitting at a chair. But I try to pick the easiest exercises possible. So again, this literally can take you a minute to 2 minutes. It's not hard to do. You don't have to go to the gym. You're not going to sweat. And by the time you do that, this can take people even out of panic attacks. Some people may not feel a change right away, but if you do it 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, you start to feel it. You have to work with the body, not only with the thinking and the brain. Hack the body.
What it does, because if you talk to somebody and that person wants to think deeply about something, that those people are usually putting their eyes like that. The reason is you are putting your brain in alpha frequency in a very short way. When your brain is cool down 8 to 12 hertz only, this is exactly what it does. And I think through that movement, through that posture, it goes, you are connecting your mind with your body, and it's cooling down, right?
Yes.
The thing which Lisa talked, it's a very powerful, obviously, the breathing. Why it works, okay? Because kind of the the judge or whatever, the mediator between the sympathicus is this, it's about tension. This is the stress system. This is the rest or digest system, right? The parasympathicus. And your diaphragm is like mediator. If you like breathing in, your diaphragm goes down. Your diaphragm is like piece of the here, and it goes down to create more space for your lungs. Okay, like the diaphragm is muscle, more or less. Okay, if it goes like if you are breathing out, it goes the other way around. Now, for how it works, your diaphragm is connected with amygdala. That's from the nature. And if you are like breathing in, breathing out, your diaphragm is moving. And that means for amygdala, no tigers, no lions, no nothing, wrong can happen. If you start to breathe like in a very shallow way and you activate this part of your, nerve system, your diaphragm is fixed basically. It is bad, you are in distress, but also diaphragm is playing, very important role for digesting, which means that if people are under the chronic stress, they usually have a problem also with the stomach or digestion system, right? So if there is a one thing which is underestimated everywhere in the sport, in work, whatever, it's breathing. If we are kids, if we are babies, we know how to breathe properly. But the problem is that we've got a lot of information and a lot of mental noise, and we basically don't think about the breathing. If people are doing something on the phones, they stop to breathe almost, like, right? It is crazy,
Yes. And here's the other thing that we do, Jan. When we're stressed out, I want everybody to think about what's the posture that you have when you're stressed out. For me, shoulders are tense and hunched. By the way, how are we when we're on our phones? So
exactly.
This is all protect, right? I want to protect my vital organs. So I hunch over, I'm stressed, I'm pulling into myself. So again, use the physical body to trick the mind instead of always trying to get the mind. The mind is harder to control. Sometimes the body is easier. So I will actually squeeze myself so tight and then put my arms straight out in front of me and completely open up. Completely expansive, shoulders all the way back and down, arms wide open. And then I say, okay, let go to let in. And when your body can be this expansive, this means you are safe because you are completely open. My arms are spread completely, chest is out. Someone could stab me, shoot me, whatever, right? Again, we have to talk to the brain that's ancient. I am safe.
Yeah. You cannot fool your body. Try to put your, your shoulders down, your head down, and try, like to tell yourself, I'm the champion. Your brain will not believe it. You cannot fool it. If you will go like a champion, and you will go, I'm loser. Again, your brain will not believe that, right? Yeah. It's in this harmony with the body. This is it,
That's exactly right. And so many people think, okay, stress, I need to, have some tools. So tell me what to think, what to do. So many people ask me, I don't know about you, Jan, they're like, in business, what's the productivity hack? How do I manage my time better? Tell me how to calendar. And I'm like, those things can help, but that's not going to solve your problem. The real heart of your problem is not using your body to work with your brain and overwhelming your brain in such a way that it's actually impossible for you to come out. I will sit and just close my eyes sometimes, not necessarily meditating, not necessarily even deep breathing or anything. I just don't want any more visual input. 80% of our sensory input, if you have, normally functioning vision, comes through the eyes. So if you just close your eyes, you already get a little break from all the noise coming in.
Absolutely.
The only thing that we really haven't covered today that I think is very important is how the brain works and the energy of it. Because if anybody's read Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, the easiest way to think about the brain, all of these are analogies. The brain is very complicated, but you can think of the brain in two systems. One is the fast system, and one is the slower. I have to really think, I have to compare, I have to, just do the hard math problem, etc. And the thing is, system 2 thinking, this really hard thinking, takes a lot of brain energy. So your body, very kind of it, tries to save you the energy and tries to just let it go fast. So as much as possible, when you can put in good habits and routines that you don't have to think about, if you don't have to think about what am I going to cook for breakfast, what am I going to cook for lunch, what am I going to wear today, take out extra like deep thinking that you really don't need. You don't need it. Then you save the energy, and later when you have other things, you haven't already sort of burned through your energy and you're just stressed out and tired by having too much. Simplify so that I only have this amount of energy per day for decisions and thinking. Cut out decisions as much as possible.
Because you can spend your energy, your mental energy, which is finite, by the way, as your physical energy is finite, on some kind of important stuff, but small things for you, or on some strategic thinking, right? Yeah. Yesterday I've got some athlete, and he told me, hey Jan, because they screwed my Chinese visa, whatever, right? The federation didn't do good job, whatever. I said, you need to work with somebody you really trust, and you can delegate that stuff. Otherwise, there's no doubt it has, impact on your performance, on your sport performance, right? The other thing I wanted to tell you how, again, it's kind of the analogy, but whether you wanted to be like, fighter in your life, or lion, if you will, or a monkey, okay? If you are like, if the monkey is running you, right? Because you can basically run your mind, or your mind is running you. There's no third way, okay? So it goes like, if your ego is running you, your mind is running you, your amygdala, then that means that you are very much attached to the past, okay? You are really attached to the past. If you are attached to the past, you suffer. This is it, because you are not able to accept what happened. Now, means suffering is that you are not able to accept what happened. If you are suffering, you are sad, and your ego, it's even more sad, and it goes like like it's called in psychology post-traumatic stress disorder. Basically, it goes like, right. There is another way, okay? If you accept what happened, you can return back to the present moment. And you can, it's tough what happened, but you learn from that, okay? And even, from that learning and from the way ahead, you are like inspired. If you are, inspired, you like what you do. And then you are like, happy, and you go back to the present moment and you do a lot of different stuff. It's called post-traumatic growth, basically. Okay. Whatever, in short, whatever is not killing you is strengthening you, right? This is it, right? And the thing is, that we are decision makers on that, because you cannot change the past. Your amygdala is stuck with your monkey is stuck with the past, and you cannot change the past. It's logical, right? You cannot change the past, but very often we are stuck with very like short-term past, or something which happened 10 years ago. You cannot change it. You need to accept and move on.
I think that's exactly right. And we're unfortunately going to have to end here. But the real trick to understanding here is, don't just try to outthink your way out of this stuff. Notice the emotions, work with the emotions, stay present in the moment. Don't let the past run you. Don't let the future run you, and hack your body. Use your body to work through your brain. Don't always try to spin. And there are some very practical tips that you can do today to make stress your friend. You want stress. You want to show up at work. You want to have a big mission in life, but you want to use it to achieve something good, not to sit home every morning going, I don't know if I want to go to work, right? So we got to make stress our friend, not our enemy.
And it can be, because if we have really that acute stress, if we have enough, mental rest, next time it's not the stressful situation anymore, because our brain is learning. And if you learn, it's no more stressful situation, and that's the way, as you said, it's good to have a lot of habits, because our brain learns, and then we go to homeostasis, then we learn to go to homeostasis and stuff like that. That's why those are the stairs which are leading to the success. It's not elevator, right? There's no shortcut, right? That's why I don't like that much biohacks and stuff like that, because I think for short time you can hack biology, hack nature, but long term I don't think you can do that.
You're right. Ooh, it sounds like another topic we'll be able to talk about soon. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Jakob, for the great tip. I'll let you guys know on the next time whether or not it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Take care. Have a great night.
Have a good day. Bye. Thank you.